This is your moment. Listen carefully, because this moment is not random. I am speaking to you now because you are standing at a crossing point, a place where what was begins to loosen its grip and what is coming is preparing to unfold. You did not arrive here by chance. Every step, every delay, every tear, every unanswered question has brought you to this exact moment. Do not rush past it. Do not minimize it. Pause, breathe, and let your heart be still, because I am near. I see the weight you have been carrying. I see the prayers whispered when no one else was listening. I see the strength you used just to get through the day. And I want you to know this first truth. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are not faithless for feeling overwhelmed. You are human, and I am with you. This is not a moment of condemnation. This is a moment of encounter. I am the one who makes a way where there appears to be none. When doors closed and silence followed, you wondered if I had turned away. But silence is not absence. Waiting is not rejection. Even now, while you are listening, I am working beyond what your eyes can see. What feels delayed is being prepared. What feels broken is being reshaped. What feels impossible is already under my authority. Let your heart open, not to fear, but to expectation. Something good is happening, even if you cannot yet name it. Healing begins when you stop striving and allow yourself to receive. Freedom begins when you stop fighting alone and lean into my strength. Restoration begins when you dare to believe again. I know the pain in your body. I know the tension you have learned to live with. I know the quiet aches you stopped mentioning because you thought nothing would change. But I am not limited by time, distance, diagnosis, or history. What man labels permanent, I call temporary. What fear has named final, I call unfinished. If you are believing for healing right now, do not focus on the condition. Focus on my presence. Let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts settle. Imagine every part of your body aligning with peace. Healing is not always loud. Sometimes it begins as calm. Sometimes it begins as warmth. Sometimes it begins as hope returning where despair once lived. And even deeper than the body, I see the places in your heart that were wounded long ago. The disappointment that shaped your expectations. The betrayal that taught you to guard yourself. The grief you never fully processed. You carried those wounds quietly, telling yourself to be strong. But strength was never meant to mean silence. You do not have to carry what I am ready to heal. This is a moment of release. Not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because you choose trust over fear. Let go of the belief that your past defines your future. Let go of the lie that says you are stuck. Let go of the voice that says, change is for others, not for you. I am calling you into freedom, not just from pain, but from heaviness. That weight you feel on your mind. That constant fatigue that sleep does not fix. That fog that clouds your joy. I see it, and I speak life where heaviness tried to settle. I speak clarity where confusion lingered. I speak peace where anxiety tried to rule. Right now, make this personal. If something in your spirit agrees with what you are hearing, don't stay silent. Whisper agreement by typing yes in the comments, not for the algorithm, but as a declaration of faith. What you acknowledge, you allow. As you continue listening, I want you to understand this. Freedom is not only about being delivered from something, it is about being guided into something new. I do not only break chains, I lead paths. I do not only remove burdens, I give direction. You have been asking, what do I do next? And the answer begins with trust. One step at a time, one decision rooted in peace, not fear. Watch until the end, because every moment builds upon the last. This is not meant to rush you, it is meant to realign you. Apply what you hear. Reflect on it. Let it change the way you speak to yourself, the way you approach tomorrow, the way you see your future. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not too far gone. My grace reaches further than your mistakes. My power extends beyond your weakness. And my plans for you are not fragile. They are steady, intentional, and filled with hope, my child. If this message stirred your heart, type Amen below as a sign of agreement and expectation. Let others see that faith is rising here. And if these words brought you peace, clarity, or encouragement, let me say this gently, sharing this space helps others find it too. So if you feel happy with what you've heard, like this video, subscribe, and join this growing community. And if you're moved to go further, support through super thanks, so this message can continue reaching those who need it. Stay with me, there is more ahead. Do not let fear decide for you. Stay with me a little longer because what I am saying now is meant to reach deeper than encouragement. It is meant to confront what has quietly been shaping your decisions. There has been a voice competing with truth in your life, and that voice is fear. It does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it sounds logical. Sometimes it disguises itself as caution, as realism, as wisdom. But fear, when left unchallenged, becomes a master instead of a signal. I see how fear has tried to narrow your world. You once dreamed freely, hoped boldly, trusted openly. But disappointment taught you restraint. Loss taught you caution. Delay taught you doubt, and without realizing it, you began adjusting your expectations downward, not because I asked you to, but because you were trying to protect your heart. I understand why you did it, but protection that keeps out pain can also keep out promise. Hear this clearly: fear is not the voice that should guide your future. Fear reacts to yesterday. I speak into tomorrow. Fear counts risks. I reveal purpose. Fear asks, what if it fails? I ask, what if it heals you? What if the very step you are afraid to take is the one that brings freedom? What if the door you hesitate to open is the one that restores joy? You have been waiting for certainty before moving forward, but faith does not begin with certainty. It begins with trust. You do not need to see the entire path to take the next step. You only need to know that I am with you. When you move with me, even uncertainty becomes a place of growth. Even mistakes become teachers instead of prisons. I know the fear of being disappointed again. I know the fear of trusting people who might fail you. I know the fear of believing for healing, provision, or restoration, and wondering what it would mean if it doesn't happen the way you expect. But listen, disappointment does not define you. Failure does not own you. And delay does not cancel my word over your life. You were not created to live small, hidden behind survival instincts. You were created to live anchored in truth, led by peace, strengthened by hope. Fear will always try to rush you or freeze you. I lead you with patience. Fear pressures you to choose based on outcomes. I invite you to choose based on obedience. There are areas in your life right now where fear has been calling the shots. Your relationships, your calling, your health, your finances, your sense of worth. You have learned to tolerate what drains you because it feels safer than change. But safety without peace is not safety at all, and comfort that costs you growth will eventually cost you joy. I am not asking you to be reckless. I am asking you to be honest. Honest about what you've been avoiding, honest about what you've been settling for, honest about what you've been afraid to ask me for. You do not need to impress me with bravery, you only need to bring me your truth. As you listen, notice what stirs inside you. That tightening in your chest, that sudden awareness of something you've been postponing, that is not condemnation, that is clarity. Clarity is a gift. It shows you where change is possible. And change, when guided by me, leads to life. If you recognize that fear has been influencing your choices, don't brush it aside. Acknowledge it. Type, I trust you in the comments as a quiet but powerful declaration. Not because fear disappears instantly, but because trust weakens fear's authority. Now let me speak peace into your thoughts. You are not behind, you are not late, you are not failing, you are learning, you are growing, you are becoming more aware, and awareness is the beginning of freedom. The fact that you are here, listening, receiving, reflecting, tells me that your heart is still open, and an open heart is fertile ground for transformation. Do not rush away from this moment. Watch until the end, because each part is building something within you. Clarity upon clarity, strength upon strength. Apply what you hear in small, practical ways. When fear rises, pause. Ask yourself, is this fear speaking, or is this truth? Learn to wait for peace before deciding. Learn to listen inwardly, not outwardly. I am patient with you. I am not measuring your progress the way you measure yourself. I see every step you take toward wholeness, even when it feels slow. I celebrate movement where you only see effort, and I remain with you even when fear tries to convince you that you are alone, my child. If this word resonated with you, respond by typing, I receive this, so your heart aligns with what is being spoken. Let this not be just something you heard, but something you live. Stay here. There is more unfolding. Let me heal what you learned to hide. Remain still for a moment, because what I am about to speak touches places you rarely allow anyone to see. There are wounds in you that were never given space to heal. Not because they were small, but because life kept moving, responsibilities kept calling, and you learned how to survive without slowing down. You told yourself, I'll deal with it later. But later kept getting postponed, and the pain learned how to live quietly inside you. I see what you learned to hide behind your smile. I see the strength you use to appear fine when your heart feels fragile. I see the memories that surface when you least expect them. The ones you push away because they feel inconvenient or overwhelming. You became skilled at managing pain instead of healing it. But management is not freedom, and endurance is not the same as restoration. I am not asking you to relive every hurt. I am inviting you to release what you have been carrying alone. Healing begins when you stop pretending that what hurt you did not matter. It mattered then, and it matters now. Ignoring wounds does not make them disappear. It only forces them to express themselves in other ways. Through anxiety, anger, numbness, exhaustion, or isolation. Some of your reactions today are rooted in experiences from yesterday. You wonder why certain words affect you so deeply, why certain situations trigger fear or withdrawal, why you struggle to trust even when you want to. These are not flaws in your character. They are signals from places that need care, not judgment. I am gentle with wounds. I do not force them open. I do not shame you for protecting yourself. I understand why you built walls. I understand why you became guarded. But walls that kept pain out also kept connection out. And you were never meant to live disconnected from me, from others, or from yourself. Let me say this clearly, healing does not erase your past, but it changes its power over you. When wounds are healed, memories lose their authority. They may still exist, but they no longer control your emotions, your decisions, or your identity. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what I am doing in you now. There are areas where you have accepted pain as normal. You told yourself, this is just how life is. But what you normalized was never meant to be permanent. You do not have to remain stuck in cycles of emotional exhaustion. You do not have to keep reliving the same patterns in relationships. You do not have to carry guilt for things you did while trying to survive. I want you to apply this truth practically. When a painful thought arises, do not push it away immediately. Pause. Acknowledge it. Ask yourself what it is connected to, then release it instead of rehearsing it. Healing happens when you stop arguing with pain and start surrendering it. Right now, allow yourself to imagine what wholeness would feel like, not perfection, but peace. Not a life without challenges, but a heart that feels safe again. That longing you feel for peace is not weakness. It is your spirit remembering what it was created for. If you are ready to stop hiding what hurt you and allow healing to begin, type "heal me" in the comments as an act of openness. This is not about exposure, it is about intention. What you bring into the light loses its power to control you. I know you fear that if you slow down, the pain will overwhelm you. But you are not facing it alone. You are not the same person you were when the hurt happened. You have grown, you have learned, you have survived, and now you are ready to be restored. Watch until the end, because each part builds strength gently, layer by layer. Do not rush this process. Apply what you hear by being kinder to yourself, by allowing rest, by choosing honesty over avoidance. Healing is not a single moment, it is a series of choices that lead you back to yourself. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to feel again. You are allowed to move forward without dragging yesterday behind you. I am not disappointed in you for taking time. I am pleased that you are willing to begin, my child. If this word spoke to you, respond by typing, "I'm ready," and let that be the beginning of release. Trust me, with what you cannot control, stay with me, because what I am about to say reaches into the places where you feel the least secure. There are things in your life you have tried to manage carefully, not because you are controlling by nature, but because uncertainty has made you cautious. You learned that when outcomes feel unpredictable, control feels comforting. But what once felt like protection has slowly become pressure, and I see how heavy that pressure has been on your heart. You were never meant to carry the responsibility of outcomes alone. You were never meant to calculate every possibility, anticipate every failure, or rehearse every worst-case scenario. Yet this is what you've been doing, often without realizing it. Your mind stays busy, your heart stays tense, and rest feels unfamiliar because you are always preparing for what might go wrong. I want you to hear this clearly. Responsibility is not the same as control. You are called to be faithful, not to be flawless. You are called to act wisely, not to foresee everything. When you confuse faithfulness with control, you end up exhausted instead of empowered. There are situations right now where you are holding on tightly, relationships you are afraid to lose, decisions you are afraid to make, outcomes you are afraid to trust. You tell yourself that if you just think harder, plan better, or wait longer, you can guarantee safety. But safety does not come from certainty. Safety comes from trust. Trust does not mean pretending everything will be easy. Trust means believing that even if things unfold differently than you expect, you will not be abandoned. It means releasing the need to predict the future and choosing to be present in today. It means allowing me to work in ways that exceed your understanding, instead of limiting me to what feels manageable. You have been asking for peace, but peace cannot fully settle where control dominates. Peace arrives when surrender makes room. This does not mean giving up. It means giving over. It means placing what you cannot control into hands that are steady, capable, and faithful. I know the fear beneath your control, the fear of loss, the fear of disappointment, the fear of repeating past pain. But the past does not get to dictate the future. You are not reliving old cycles. You are learning new ways to respond. And learning requires patience, grace, and trust. Here is something practical you can begin to apply. When you feel the urge to control, pause and ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I let go? That question reveals more than hours of overthinking ever could. Once you name the fear, release it instead of rehearsing it. You do not have to solve it immediately, you only have to surrender it honestly. You were not created to live in constant tension. Your body was not designed to carry endless stress. Your mind was not meant to function in perpetual alert. When you trust me with outcomes, your nervous system begins to rest. Your thoughts slow down. Your heart softens. This is not weakness. It is alignment. Some of you are holding on to control because you believe letting go means losing everything. But letting go is not losing. Letting go is opening space for something new to grow. Growth often feels risky because it requires movement, but stagnation costs far more in the long run. If you are ready to loosen your grip, even slightly, type "I release it" in the comments as a quiet declaration. This is not about perfection, it is about willingness. Even small acts of trust create room for peace to enter. I am not rushing you, I am walking with you. Trust develops over time, through experience, reflection, and choice. You are allowed to take this one step at a time. Each time you choose trust over control, you strengthen a new pattern within yourself, one rooted in peace rather than fear. Watch until the end, because what you are receiving is not meant to be consumed quickly. Let it settle. Let it reshape how you respond to stress, how you approach decisions, how you treat yourself when things feel uncertain. Apply this by practicing rest, by stepping away from unnecessary pressure, by reminding yourself that you do not have to carry everything alone. I am steady when life feels unstable. I am present when outcomes feel unclear. I am working, even when progress feels invisible, and I am patient as you learn to trust more deeply, my child. If this message spoke to your heart, respond by typing, "I'm learning to trust," and allow that honesty to mark the beginning of rest. Let me lead you into what's next. Stay with me, because now we are stepping into something forward-looking. You have spent time reflecting, releasing, and realigning your heart, and that was not wasted. Preparation always comes before direction. Healing always makes room for guidance. And now, I want to speak to the part of you that has been quietly asking, what's next? You may feel unsure about the future, not afraid exactly, but unclear. You've done the work of letting go of fear, of releasing control, of acknowledging wounds, yet you still wonder how all of this translates into real life. Your choices, your calling, your relationships, your work, your purpose. I want you to know that confusion does not mean you are lost. It often means you are between seasons. Transitions are uncomfortable because the old no longer fits, and the new has not fully formed. In these moments, it is tempting to rush decisions just to escape uncertainty. But clarity grows best in stillness, not pressure. When you slow down enough to listen, direction becomes discernible. I am not vague with those who seek me sincerely. I am not withholding answers to test your patience. Sometimes I am shaping your character so you can carry the answer when it comes. Guidance is not only about knowing where to go, it is about becoming who you need to be when you arrive. You have been asking for signs, but I often speak through peace rather than spectacle. Pay attention to what brings calm rather than chaos. Pay attention to what aligns with integrity rather than urgency. Pay attention to what draws you closer to wholeness rather than draining you. These are quiet indicators, but they are reliable. There are connections in your life right now that require discernment. Some relationships are meant to grow with you. Others were meant to teach you and then release you. Let go without resentment. Hold on without fear. Discernment is not about suspicion, it is about alignment. You may also be questioning your purpose, wondering if what you are doing truly matters. Let me remind you, purpose is not always loud or public. Sometimes it looks like consistency. Sometimes it looks like kindness when no one notices. Sometimes it looks like faithfulness in small responsibilities. Do not underestimate the impact of steady obedience. Here is something practical you can apply today. Before making decisions, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this align with peace? Does this reflect growth? Does this honor truth? If the answer is yes, you are moving in the right direction, even if the path feels unfamiliar. I am not calling you to compare your journey to others. Their timing is not your timing. Their assignment is not your assignment. Comparison steals joy and clouds discernment. Focus instead on what is being asked of you right now. The future unfolds step by step, not all at once. If you desire clarity and guidance in this season, type "Lead me forward" in the comments as a declaration of openness. This is not about having every answer. It is about choosing direction over stagnation. Watch until the end of this series, because what you are receiving is not just encouragement, it is formation. Let these words shape how you respond to uncertainty, how you make decisions, how you trust the process. Apply them by choosing patience over panic, alignment over approval, faith over haste. You are not wandering aimlessly, you are being led intentionally. Even when the path curves, it is still progress. Even when the pace slows, it is still movement. I am not behind schedule, and neither are you, my child. If this message brought clarity or peace to your heart, respond by typing, "I'm moving forward." So you mark this moment with intention. And now, let me speak to you gently about this space we are sharing. If these words are helping you, if they are strengthening your faith or bringing peace to your heart, consider staying connected. Like this message. If it resonated, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, and join this community that is growing in reflection and hope. And if you feel grateful for these words and want to help them reach others, super thanks is a way to support this channel, given freely and joyfully if you feel happy with what you've received. Let me quiet the noise within you. Remain here with me, because now I am speaking to the noise you have grown accustomed to. The constant inner dialogue, the stream of thoughts that never seems to rest, the questions that repeat themselves late at night and early in the morning. You learned how to function with noise, but you were never meant to live inside it. I see how busy your mind has been. Even when your body rests, your thoughts keep moving. You replay conversations, reconsider decisions, imagine outcomes, and prepare for situations that have not yet arrived. You tell yourself this is productivity, but often it is anxiety wearing the mask of responsibility. And it has been draining you more than you realize. Quiet is not emptiness. Quiet is space. Space for clarity, space for wisdom, space for peace, to rise above confusion. When the noise dominates, discernment becomes difficult. When the noise settles, direction becomes clearer. I am not asking you to silence every thought. I am inviting you to stop giving every thought authority. Some of the thoughts you entertain are not instructions, they are distractions. Not every fear deserves your attention. Not every worry deserves your energy. And not every assumption deserves your belief. Learning to discern which thoughts to release is an act of spiritual maturity. You often believe that if you stop thinking, things will fall apart. But control does not come from constant mental effort. Stability comes from grounded trust. When you allow your mind to rest, your spirit becomes more receptive. And when your spirit leads, your decisions become steadier. There is a rhythm to peace, and it begins with permission. Permission to pause. Permission to breathe. Permission to not have every answer immediately. You do not need to rush your healing. You do not need to force clarity. Some things unfold naturally when pressure is removed. I want you to practice something simple but powerful. When your thoughts begin to spiral, gently bring your focus back to the present moment. Notice your breathing. Notice where you are. Notice what is real right now. Not what might happen, not what once happened, but what is happening. Presence grounds you in truth. Many of your worries are rooted in imagined futures or unresolved pasts, but life is lived in the present. When you anchor yourself here, fear loses momentum, peace gains influence, and your heart begins to feel safer within itself. I know silence can feel uncomfortable at first. When you are used to noise, quiet can feel unfamiliar, even unsettling. But discomfort does not mean danger, it often means growth. As you allow moments of stillness, you will begin to notice subtle shifts, greater patience, clearer thinking, calmer reactions. You do not need to earn rest. Rest is not a reward for productivity, it is a requirement for wholeness. When you rest your mind, you restore your capacity to respond wisely. Exhaustion clouds judgment. Stillness sharpens it. There are voices in your life, external and internal, that demand constant attention. Learn to discern which voices align with truth and which only amplify fear. You are allowed to set boundaries, even with your own thoughts. Not every mental pattern deserves continuation. If you are ready to invite quiet into your inner world, type, "I choose stillness," in the comments as a gentle commitment. This is not about perfection, it is about intention. Each moment of awareness strengthens your ability to rest. Watch through to the end, because these moments are building upon one another. Apply what you hear by creating small pauses in your day, before responding, before deciding, before reacting. Even brief stillness can reset your perspective. You are not falling behind when you slow down. You are aligning. You are recalibrating. You are learning to live from peace rather than pressure. I am not absent in the quiet. I am often most present there, my child. If this message brought calm to your heart, respond by typing "peace over my mind" and allow that declaration to guide you forward. Let me restore your strength. Stay with me, because now I am speaking to the weariness you rarely name out loud. Not the kind that sleep alone can fix, but the deeper tiredness that comes from carrying too much for too long. You learned how to keep going even when your inner reserves were low. You learned how to show up when you felt empty. And while that resilience helped you survive, it was never meant to replace renewal. I see the effort behind your endurance. I see how often you tell yourself to push a little more, try a little harder, give a little longer. You call it responsibility. You call it faithfulness. But beneath it, there is fatigue that has gone unaddressed. Strength is not proven by how long you can run without rest. True strength knows when to pause and be replenished. You have been living in a mode of constant output, giving, solving, supporting, responding, and slowly, without realizing it, you began drawing from reserves that were meant to be refilled. When strength is not restored, patience thins, joy dulls, perspective narrows. This is not failure, it is a signal. I am not asking you to abandon your responsibilities. I am asking you to redefine strength. Strength is not ignoring your limits. Strength is honoring them wisely. When you respect the rhythms of rest and renewal, you become more effective, not less. You may feel guilty for needing rest, as though pausing means letting someone down. But rest is not selfish when it allows you to return with clarity and compassion. Burnout does not serve you, and it does not serve those you care about. Renewal is an active stewardship of your body, your mind, and your spirit. Here is something practical to apply. Notice where your energy is going, not just your time, but your emotional energy. Which activities restore you? Which ones drain you? Awareness is the first step to balance. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. There are expectations you have placed on yourself that I never placed on you. Expectations to always be available. Expectations to always be strong. Expectations to never need help. These expectations quietly exhaust you. Release what was never required. Keep what truly matters. You were created with rhythms, work and rest, engagement and reflection, giving and receiving. When those rhythms are honored, strength returns naturally. When they are ignored, even the strongest hearts grow weary. You do not need to earn restoration, you only need to receive it. If you feel tired in ways that are hard to explain, know this: weariness is not a sign that you are failing. It is often a sign that you have been faithful for a long time without replenishment. Faithfulness deserves renewal. Allow yourself moments of joy without justification. Allow yourself moments of stillness without apology. Allow yourself moments of rest without guilt. These are not distractions from purpose, they are sustenance for it. If you are ready to receive renewed strength, type "Restore me" in the comments as a quiet expression of openness. Let it be a reminder that renewal begins with willingness. Watch through to the end of this series, because each part is designed to build stability, not pressure. Apply what you hear by setting small boundaries, by honoring rest, by listening to your body and your heart. Even small adjustments create lasting change. I am attentive to your fatigue. I am patient with your pace. I am committed to your renewal. You do not have to run on empty any longer, my child. If this message encouraged you, respond by typing "new strength" and let that declaration guide how you care for yourself today. Stay with me. Restoration continues. Start. Write Part 8. Below is Part 8 of your devotional series. It continues with the same tone, rhythm, and devotional depth, written fresh and original, centered on practical life application, emotional repetition, and a new, non-repetitive call to action. Let me rebuild your confidence from within. Stay with me, because now I am speaking to how you see yourself, not how others see you, not how you present yourself, but how you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. Confidence is not loud, it is quiet alignment with truth. And somewhere along the way, that alignment was shaken. I see how experiences chipped away at your confidence little by little. Not one dramatic moment, but many small ones. Words that lingered longer than they should have. Comparisons you never asked for. Failures that felt heavier than successes. You began to question yourself, not because you lacked ability, but because you learned to doubt your own worth. You did not start this way. You once trusted your instincts more freely. You once moved with less hesitation. But criticism taught you caution. Rejection taught you restraint. And disappointment taught you to second guess. Over time, you confused humility with self-doubt, and wisdom with self-suppression. Hear this carefully. Confidence rooted in truth is not pride, it is clarity. It is knowing who you are without needing constant validation. It is being able to stand steady even when opinions shift. I am not calling you to arrogance. I am calling you back to honesty about who you are becoming. You have been underestimating yourself, often unconsciously. You downplay your growth. You overlook your resilience. You dismiss your progress because it doesn't look dramatic enough. But growth is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like choosing peace instead of proving a point. Sometimes it looks like walking away instead of winning an argument. Sometimes it looks like staying when it would be easier to quit. Confidence does not mean you never doubt. It means doubt no longer defines you. It means you can acknowledge uncertainty without letting it stop you. It means you can make decisions without needing everyone's approval. It means you trust that even if you make mistakes, you can learn and adjust. I want you to apply this practically. Notice how you speak about yourself. Are your words supportive or critical? Encouraging or dismissive? You cannot build confidence while constantly tearing yourself down. Begin replacing harsh self-talk with truthful reflection. Instead of saying, "I'm bad at this," say, "I'm learning." Instead of saying, "I always fail," say, "I'm growing through experience." You may feel uncomfortable affirming yourself because you were taught that confidence should come only from external approval, but internal stability is healthier than external validation. When your confidence is grounded internally, opinions lose their power to destabilize you. There are abilities within you that you have not fully acknowledged, not because they aren't there, but because you became used to minimizing them. You were taught to blend in, not stand out, to stay safe, not step forward. But there is a difference between humility and hiding. You can be humble and still be confident. I am not asking you to become someone else. I am inviting you to stop shrinking who you already are. You do not need to earn your value. You do not need to justify your existence. You are allowed to take up space with integrity and grace. If you are ready to rebuild confidence from truth rather than comparison, type "I stand in truth" in the comments as a quiet declaration. Let it be a reminder that confidence grows through alignment, not applause. Watch through to the end, because this process unfolds step by step. Apply what you hear by choosing self-respect over self-criticism, by trusting your discernment, by acknowledging progress instead of dismissing it. Small shifts in perspective create lasting confidence. You are not behind. You are not inadequate. You are not invisible. You are becoming more grounded, more aware, more aligned. And that alignment will begin to show in how you speak, how you decide, and how you move forward, my child. If this message resonated with you, respond by typing "I'm growing stronger," and let that truth guide how you treat yourself today. Stay here. There is more clarity ahead. Start. Write Part 9. Below is Part 9 of your devotional series. It continues with the same tone, rhythm, and devotional depth, written fresh and original, centered on practical life application, emotional repetition, and a new, non-repetitive call to action. Let me teach you how to wait without losing hope. Stay with me, because now I am speaking to the waiting you are in. Not the kind of waiting that is calm and patient, but the kind that stretches your faith and tests your endurance. You have been waiting for answers, for change, for clarity, for relief. And while you try to remain hopeful, there are moments when waiting feels like standing still while life moves on around you. I see how waiting has made you question yourself. You wonder if you missed something, if you delayed too long, if you misunderstood direction. Waiting has a way of making you doubt your decisions, even when they were made with sincerity. But waiting is not a punishment. It is not evidence that you are forgotten. Often, it is preparation happening quietly beneath the surface. You were taught that progress always looks like movement, but some of the most important growth happens when nothing appears to be changing. Roots grow underground before anything is visible above the soil. Strength is formed in stillness before it is displayed in action. Waiting is not wasted time when it is anchored in trust. I know the frustration that comes when timelines do not align with expectations. You planned, you prayed, you hoped, and when things did not unfold as quickly as you imagined, disappointment crept in. But hope is not fragile. It bends without breaking when it is grounded in truth rather than timelines. There is a difference between passive waiting and purposeful waiting. Passive waiting drains you. Purposeful waiting refines you. Purposeful waiting keeps your heart open, your character steady, and your spirit attentive. It allows you to grow without rushing ahead of readiness. You may feel pressure to force outcomes just to escape uncertainty, but forcing often leads to regret, while waiting with wisdom leads to peace. You do not need to rush to prove progress. Growth does not need witnesses to be real. It only needs consistency. Here is something practical you can apply while waiting. Shift your focus from what you lack to what you are learning. Ask yourself what this season is developing in you. Patience, discernment, resilience, compassion. Waiting often teaches lessons that movement cannot. You are allowed to feel discouraged at times. Faith does not require emotional perfection. It requires honesty. Bring your questions instead of suppressing them. Bring your frustration instead of pretending it doesn't exist. Honest waiting is healthier than silent endurance. Some of what you are waiting for involves other people, circumstances beyond your control, or outcomes that require timing you cannot manipulate. Release the illusion that more effort will speed things up. There are things that unfold best when they are allowed to mature naturally. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. It means doing what you can today without demanding tomorrow to arrive early. Be faithful where you are. Care for what is within reach. Stay aligned with peace rather than urgency. These choices sustain hope without exhausting you. I want you to understand this clearly. Waiting does not disqualify you. Delay does not diminish your worth. Silence does not mean absence. I am present in the waiting as much as I am in the fulfillment, sometimes more deeply. If you are in a season of waiting and choosing not to give up, type, "I will wait with trust" in the comments as a quiet declaration. Let it mark your decision to remain steady, even when outcomes are uncertain. Watch through to the end of this series, because each part is shaping endurance without hardening your heart. Apply what you hear by releasing timelines, by focusing on daily faithfulness, by choosing hope even when progress feels slow. You are not being overlooked, you are being prepared, and when the moment comes, you will be ready in ways you could not have been before, my child. If this message encouraged you, respond by typing "Hope Remains," and let that truth steady you as you continue forward. Stay here. What comes next brings perspective to the waiting. Start. Write Part 10. Below is part 10 of your devotional series. This part continues the same tone, rhythm, and devotional depth, written fresh and original, focused on practical life application, emotional repetition, and a new, non-repetitive call to action. Let me redefine what breakthrough really means. Stay with me, because now I want to reshape how you understand breakthrough. You have been waiting for something dramatic, something undeniable, something that would clearly mark the end of struggle and the beginning of ease. But breakthrough does not always arrive as a sudden shift. Often, it begins quietly, changing how you think, how you respond, and how you choose. You have been looking for breakthrough in circumstances, but I have been working on breakthrough within you. External change is powerful, but internal change is lasting. When the inside shifts, the outside eventually follows. But when the outside changes without inner transformation, old patterns return. I see how much you want things to improve. You are not wrong for desiring relief, progress, and stability. Those desires are not signs of impatience, they are signs of hope. But hope grows strongest when it is rooted in truth rather than expectation. Breakthrough is not always the removal of struggle. Sometimes it is the removal of fear within the struggle. Sometimes it is the ability to remain steady where you once felt overwhelmed. Sometimes it is responding with peace where you once reacted with panic. These are not small victories. They are foundational ones. You have already experienced more breakthrough than you realize. Look at how you are responding now compared to before. Look at how you pause instead of spiraling. Look at how you reflect instead of reacting. Look at how you are learning to trust instead of control. Growth often hides in subtle shifts, but those shifts change everything over time. I know you want clarity, healing, provision, and restoration. Those things matter, but I also want you to notice what is being strengthened in you right now. Resilience, patience, discernment, compassion. These qualities prepare you not just to receive blessing, but to sustain it. Breakthrough is not just about arrival. It is about readiness, and readiness is built through consistency, not pressure. You do not have to force your way into the next season. You grow into it naturally as alignment deepens. Here is something practical to apply today. Redefine success for this season. Instead of measuring progress by outcomes alone, measure it by alignment. Ask yourself if your choices reflect peace, integrity, and growth. When alignment becomes your measure, discouragement loses its grip. You have been comparing your process to others, wondering why their breakthroughs seem faster or clearer. But comparison distorts perspective. You are not on the same timeline, path, or assignment. What matters is not speed, but direction. And your direction is forward, even when it feels slow. I want you to understand this. Setbacks do not cancel breakthrough. Delays do not erase progress. Struggle does not negate purpose. Every step you take toward truth strengthens the foundation of what is coming next. If you are ready to redefine breakthrough and trust the process unfolding within you, type, "I see the growth," in the comments as a declaration of awareness. Awareness shifts perspective, and perspective restores hope. Watch until the end of this series, because what you are receiving is cumulative. Each part builds upon the last, creating clarity where confusion once lived. Apply what you hear by celebrating small victories, by recognizing growth, by choosing patience over pressure. You are not waiting in vain. You are not striving without result. You are becoming more grounded, more aware, more prepared. And that preparation will matter more than you know, my child. If this message encouraged you, respond by typing "Breakthrough is forming" and let that truth shape how you move forward. And now, let me speak to you gently about this space we're sharing. If these words are helping you, bring in peace, insight, or strength, consider staying connected, like this message. If it resonated, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, and join this community that is growing in reflection and hope. And if you feel grateful for these words and want to help them reach others, Super Thanks is a way to support this channel, offered freely and joyfully if you feel happy with what you've received. Let me teach you how to forgive without losing yourself. Stay here with me, because what I am about to speak touches a place that has been tender for a long time. Forgiveness is one of the words you have heard often, yet struggled to apply honestly. Not because you are unwilling, but because you are hurt deeply, and part of you fears that forgiving means minimizing what happened or allowing it to happen again. I want you to know from the beginning, forgiveness is not denial, and it is not permission. It is release. I see the faces that come to mind when you think of forgiveness. I see the memories that resurface without warning. I see how some wounds still feel close, even though time has passed. You tried to move forward, but unresolved pain kept pulling you back. Forgiveness has felt complicated because you didn't want to betray your own healing. Hear this carefully. Forgiving does not require forgetting. It does not require reconciliation. It does not require pretending that what hurt you was acceptable. Forgiveness is not about excusing behavior. It is about freeing your heart from carrying the weight of resentment. You have been holding on to anger not because you enjoy it, but because it felt like the only way to honor your pain. Anger made you feel protected. It reminded you that what happened mattered. But anger, when carried too long, becomes heavy. It begins to shape how you see others, how you trust, and how you feel about yourself. Forgiveness is not a single decision. It is often a process. Some days you feel ready. Other days the pain feels fresh again. This does not mean you are failing. It means you are human. Healing unfolds in layers, not all at once. I want you to apply this practically. Forgiveness begins with honesty. Name what hurt you. Acknowledge how it affected you. Stop rushing yourself toward peace before you have acknowledged pain. When pain is honored, forgiveness becomes possible without force. You may be afraid that forgiving will make you vulnerable again, but forgiveness does not remove wisdom. You can forgive and still set boundaries. You can forgive and still choose distance. You can forgive and still protect your well-being. Forgiveness clears your heart. Boundaries protect your future. Some of the resentment you carry is not toward others, but toward yourself. You replay choices you wish you had made differently. You judge yourself for not knowing then what you know now. But self-forgiveness is just as necessary as forgiving others. You are doing the best you could with what you understood at the time. Release the belief that you should have known better. Growth comes through experience. Wisdom often arrives after mistakes. Condemning yourself does not change the past, it only burdens the present. Here is a gentle practice to begin. When resentment surfaces, pause and breathe. Instead of rehearsing the story again, acknowledge the feeling and release it slowly. You may need to do this repeatedly. Repetition does not mean failure, it means healing is ongoing. Forgiveness does not instantly remove pain, but it gradually removes its control. Over time, what once triggered strong reactions begins to lose intensity. Peace replaces tension, clarity replaces confusion. This is not forgetting, this is freedom. If you are ready to begin forgiving, whether someone else or yourself, type "I release the weight" in the comments as a quiet declaration. Let it mark your willingness, even if the process feels slow. Watch through to the end of this series, because each part builds emotional and spiritual strength. Apply what you hear by choosing release over resentment, by honoring your healing pace, by refusing to let past pain define your present identity. You are not weak for needing time. You are not wrong for feeling deeply. And you are not broken for struggling with forgiveness. You are learning how to live lighter, freer, and more whole, my child. If this message spoke to your heart, respond by typing "I choose freedom" and let that choice guide how you move forward today.